One way to add a sense of immediacy to your memoirs and also increase characterization of the people in your stories is to add dialogue. And one of the things I can do sometimes without even reading the sentences on the page, if I just skim through someone's rough draft of their personal narrative, of their memoir, I can see if there's any dialogue. And if we go page after page, with no dialogue, I don't even have to read it to know that there's a lack of immediacy there, that the characters are not speaking. So always make sure that you don't go too long without having some necessary dialogue in it. Here's an example of one of my students' pieces of writing, and it talks about going to celebrate this Diwali. They're going to in a car to a town where his uncle lives, and in the car is his sister and his mom, and the father is driving the car. And then we get this line. We get, "I chatted and talked to my sister on the way." So often when I see something like that, I think maybe here's an opportunity to add in some dialogue. What would he have talked about with his sister? Now, because sometimes these events are so long ago, often this kind of summary of dialogue is necessary because you have no memory of what you actually talked about. So a lot of people avoid putting in fake dialogue or making it up by just summarizing and say, "I chatted and talked to my sister on the way." But if you do remember, if something funny your sister might have said or amusing, or maybe you're talking about the uncle because they're going to see the uncle, maybe that's a spot where you could add in a little bit of dialogue. He also mentions that the mother turns the radio on. What was the music of that period in, I guess this is Pakistan or India? I'm not sure what town this one is, but it's, they're coming to that city. So talk about the music. He mentions the pollution and he hears the honking. I love those details. And they stop by a sweet shop. And then you could even expand that, that idea of choosing the sweets for the uncle. What did he like? What did they buy? Was there any disagreement on that? There's just so much detail here you could add, and opportunities for dialogue, right? When the sister and the author are choosing those sweets in the store, that kind of thing. Now we get, the journey is over. So they get to the uncle's house and all the relatives are there. And then he says, "I wish everyone a happy Diwali and got blessing of elders." Another dialogue point there. You could add in that dialogue. Who does he wish it to? What's the reaction of his relatives? Does a grandfather say something back to him? What is the blessing? I'm not familiar with that would be, but his grandfather say something specific that they usually say in Diwali. Get that dialogue in there. Now the story changes here. The scene actually changes because he says, "I ran upstairs to see my cousins." So what did he say to his cousins? The four of us played Halo on the computer. If that's an interesting scene, that you expand that. Kids often say funny things, when they're playing video games. But see how much or how many opportunities there are for adding in dialogue and actually hearing these characters so they feel like real people, not just these characters that are off at somewhat of a distance.